All right, let's talk about tracking your food when you are cooking for the family or you're eating out. So, tracking family meals, what I advise you to do is weigh all your ingredients before cooking or whilst you're cooking, and then create a recipe in the app or create a meal in the app, and then divide it by the number of servings. And then weigh your portion or use a rough estimate when actually entering it into the app. Now, there are other videos in the Trainerize program folder which give you tips and insights and how to actually track your food using the Trainerize app. They will explain it much better than what I can, and they also use videos of the app to show you. So I will direct you there so that you can get some more information about how to create recipes and meals and use that to your advantage. Now, when you're eating out, my tips and tricks, check the menu ahead of time. Okay, so wherever possible, pre-log your meal and choose what you're having, and then have protein forward meals. So leaner options like fish and chicken are going to be much better than things like burgers and pork ribs, right? Depending on what you're doing for dinner and how heavy it's going to be, it might be that you might want to consider eating lighter earlier in the day if hunger and energy does allow for it. But we'll be keeping on top of these things for our weekly check-ins and our daily accountability. So it's likely that we'll come up with a strategy together if needed, and I will give you some guidelines in and around that on an individual basis, okay? Choose water or track your drinks in advance. So if you are going to a friend's for dinner, it's a good idea to take your own drinks wherever possible and sort of substitute, beer for like a white spirit if that's possible, or like a low calorie RTD like Clean Collective, and kind of decide how many drinks you're going to have, right, in advance of going. The other option is to use maintenance calories if needed, right? So we don't need to be in a deficit every single day, right? We need to be in a deficit on average across the week in order to lose fat. But what gets missed out a lot when trying to lose fat is the importance of adherence and consistency. So it might be that you would actually benefit from bringing your calories up one day a week, maybe to maintenance, so that you don't gain fat and you don't lose fat, but at least it gives you a bit more flexibility and you're a little bit more adherent to the program. Sure, you're not going to lose fat that day, but you're not going to gain either, and there's no damage done, which there could be a lot of damage if you just kind of go wing it and guess, right? Or it might be that, say, your maintenance calories are 2,000. So that means that if you eat 2,000 calories a day, according to your activity level, your age and everything, you won't gain weight or you won't lose weight. But we might have you at 1,600 calories for a deficit. Maybe we put you up to 1,800 calories on that Saturday night that you go out with friends. You're still in a deficit, but it just allows you to have a couple of drinks, okay? So there's different strategies, tips, and tricks that we'll incorporate throughout the program. So do make sure that you raise it with me if you are going out or and are looking for a game plan. Don't go in starving. So half a scoop of protein powder in some water 30 minutes beforehand can be a good idea. Studies have shown that if you go out with a relatively full stomach, particularly with protein on board, you are less likely to overeat when you're out, okay? And then remember, close enough is often good enough, right? It's not about being exact, it's about consistency. So you won't be perfect every day, and that's okay. Estimating is still going to be more helpful than ignoring, okay? One meal won't make or break your results. But consistently ignoring and not tracking and that kind of thing will. All right. Now, common tracking errors to avoid when we are using the app. Forgetting the extras, okay? So things like oils, dressings, sauces, drinks, toppings, nibbles, bites from your kids' plates or lunch boxes, licks off the spoon, unfinished crust, all those things do add up. And depending on your stature, like if you're quite a short, small woman by nature, these things will absolutely impact your results because your room for error or your margin of error is a lot less. Not weighing food, okay, so using cups, spoons, or estimates instead of a food scale. So wherever possible, instead of using a cup, use grams. Instead of using a cup, use milliliters, that kind of thing. Measuring cooked food instead of raw or vice versa. Ideally, we want to measure raw most of the time. But again, tracking, estimating is still better than ignoring. Trusting every entry. So not all the app entries are accurate. So double check the labels on the back of your product as well if you're not sure. Confirm servings, calories, and the macronutrients actually match your packaging. Tracking after you eat. Logging at the end of the day means that you miss details. It's just sort of what generally happens. Now, it's not the end of the world. It's not necessarily a strategy that you have to avoid, but wherever possible, if you can pre-log or track your food in real time, this will help avoid common tracking errors, okay? And then the final one is expecting perfection. So remember, even food labels are actually allowed up to like a 20% error of calories. So it's not about the exact numbers. A lot of it is about that consistent awareness over time. So close enough is often good enough. Just don't skip it altogether.